Red and yellow cards everywhere this weekend.
Let's burn through that.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Dax.
And welcome to the Cold Room, our rugby YouTube chat show. Let's just start this off. Apologize quickly. We're a little late this week on the upload. Life happened. Technology happened. So we're sorry, but we'll do a quick rapid fire episode this week, and next week we'll get out a more detailed video.
Yeah, we'll get back on track very, very soon. We really apologize. Starting off, last week Friday, we had a New Zealand derby, the Highlanders versus the Blues. For me, the pinnacle of New Zealand derbies this weekend.
Fast-paced, running, end-to-end, really was a great game.
Yeah, solid scrummaging, great ruck play. For us, it was a fantastic game. The score line flattered the Highlanders at the end of it, the Blues right in there to the end. Our referee for the match is Jamie Nut-Brown, which we gave an 8 out of 10. We found he was really good overall. A few New Zealand flat passes that he kind of missed, but generally an all-round really good game.
And the Rebels versus the Reds, really great officiating there from Brendan Pickerel. He really handled the discipline issues well. There was the red card incident with the shoulder charge to the head, as well as a yellow card for a dangerous tackle as well. And generally I think it's really hard to tell how these teams are going to fare this season, given that the Rebels played a 13-man team at one stage, so we're really only going to see them at their peak this week coming, and that's when we can only really make a call.
Yeah. Generally a all-round good game that, from what I could judge, a bit one-sided considering the difference in a number of players on the field at the time. Brendan Pickerel, we gave a 7 out of 10. He did set a standard for high tackles and dangerous tackles, but kind of let us slip towards the end.
Then the Sunwolves versus the Brumbies. Now this surprised me to no end. The Sunwolves came out firing. In fact, I would argue that they won the first half, and the Brumbies really only showed up after half time. So for me, I was really impressed with this game. The Sunwolves game style has changed dramatically with the introduction of a new coach. And Paul Williams was the ref here. I'd give him an 8 out of 10. He missed a couple of those, flat passes. But other than that, I think it was a good match. One thing I liked a lot about Paul Williams was that he was giving positive feedback on correct interpretation of the new laws, which is great to hear from a player's point of view, because then at least you're doing it right.
No, definitely, and yeah, fantastic to see the Sunwolves a little bit more competitive this year, considering that they're always the wooden spooners. Basically, they're dominated by every team on the Super Rugby roster, unfortunately. Which brings up the next game that followed the Sunwolves on last Saturday. The Crusaders versus the Chiefs, our other New Zealand derby that we had high expectations for. Again, the Crusaders coming out the winner. We did have a 50-50 decision, actually flipping a coin last week to decide who was going to win it. Crusaders winning it comfortably. They started off strong and they finished off strong. The Chiefs, unfortunately...
Yeah, their momentum really died at the end with the award of that penalty try, and then those 2 intercept tries when they were scrambling to get into the Crusaders' half. So the scoreline is maybe not a true reflection of the actual game, but it was still a great match, lots of running rugby.
Yeah.
I would say probably a failed experiment with Mackenzie at fly half, but hopefully it goes better from there. So Ben O'Keefe was the referee, and we gave him a 7.5 out of 10. Largely marked him down for that controversial penalty try, but otherwise he seemed to have a good handle on the game.
Yeah, he did have a good interpretation of the game. Chiefs, again, I don't think that they should have Mackenzie at the fly half position. I think he works much better coming in from the fullback into the game of play. I don't think he controls like a pivot actually should. Hopefully we'll see that change in Chiefs' next games. But from that, it was a good New Zealand derby for me.
Waratahs versus Stormers. Now, we had differing opinions of this last weekend. Dax was saying that Stormers are going to win, and I just flat out said not happening, and I was right. Although not as much as I would have liked to be, it really was right till this end, and the Stormers were their own worst enemies. They lost the game for themselves.
Yeah, a lot of handling errors firstly, a lot of unnecessary 50-50 pop passes, and again, the lineouts just being an absolute joke at the present moment. Jumpers not understanding the calls. Hookers throwing over the scrum. In actual fact, the Stormers lost it in the 81st minute due to a line-out throw going over the line-out and the Waratahs securing ball and scoring in the corner.
And also the bit of issues around the high ball with E04 just swooping in and scoring.
Stormers, again, fell under the high ball. We really need to see the Stormers actually fix that so that we can actually see the Stormers be the team that they can actually be. We had Angus Gardner actually officiating that match. For me, he had a really fantastic game. He controlled it really well, communicated well with the players. Again, some flat passes that were missed for being slightly more forward. Other than that, his interpretation was really good all throughout.
So yeah, 8 out of 10 for Gardner. Solid game. We then go over to Johannesburg with the Lions versus the Jaguares. As we called it, discipline let the Jaguars down. Yellow card in the 30th minute.
31st minute. Professional foul.
Lots of handling errors in this game. The Lions definitely trying to play a more expansive game than they might be used to at this point in the season. And their scrum was really showing up compared to the weekend before against the Sharks.
In actual fact, we must bring up that the Jaguares actually put the Lions under pressure in the first 15 minutes of the game, actually going up 8-0 before the Lions actually woke up and got into the game. Again, everybody was praising the Lions scrum last week. This week, completely dominated, pushed back, giving away a few scrum penalties with Ruan Dreyer overextending, basically illegal scrummaging in terms of the rules. But other than that, the Lions woke up. The scoreline favoured them because they did have a really good game. Janche, who was our try scorer of the week last week from his individual brilliance, scored 2 tries this weekend from really good play, and he's shown that he can actually set up tries himself. So he's definitely a Springbok prospect in the making.
Might just need to work on his defence a little bit, but other than that, I agree with you there. I mean, 3 tries in 2 games. He's got a stellar career ahead of him if he keeps fit.
Yeah. Yaku Paper was our official for this game. We gave him a 7 out of 10 for this match. Basically for the penalty try that we think was probably a little bit 50-50 there. We kind of believe that maybe the scramble defence might have actually made it to make the cover tackle. Maybe they couldn't, but
we'll never know.
We'll never know. We'll mark him down a little bit on that. Yes, he did also miss a few ruck breakdown skirmishes that could have actually been just officiated a little bit better. We hope to see him at his 8 and 10s that we would know him for.
The game of the weekend for me, Bulls versus Highlanders.
Hurricanes, actually.
I mean, sorry, Hurricanes, but even still, I'm just so impressed with the win. I forgot the team's name. Only one team mattered in that game. So, completely new Bulls team, new coach, new gameplay, really stepping away from that traditional kick and chase, this bash up with the forwards mentality. Nice to see them using their hands a little bit. I mean, not the greatest hands in the world.
Lots of handling errors in this one as well. Yes, Bulls scraped it through last minute and then holding out for the win. Hurricanes also struggling a little bit at altitude, that we did see, hands on hips, guys sucking in air quite a lot. But I mean, it's their first game and the Bulls' first proper game as well. So it was going to be a messy affair, but yeah, very close game. Nick did say last week that he was going to back the Bulls on this one. I did say the Hurricanes were going to win it. Hurricanes were leading up until that last try, so it could have gone either way.
But it went the right way.
Going to a South African, which is all that I worry about.
Alright, let's quickly bash out these previews.
Yeah, but first we have to say Rusty Rashavenga had a shocker of a game. We've given him a 6 out of 10, which is way below the standard that we would expect from him. A lot of incidences that should have actually warranted harsher rulings. For example, a tack around the neck from one Hurricane player on a Bulls player.
Yeah.
Interpretation of the rules, I think he's still getting to grips with, and
forward passes.
Yeah, we were actually
flat passes.
The New Zealand flat pass coming to the fore for the first Hurricanes try, and also a little bit of over-reliance on the TMO. Yes, 2 of the decisions were correct, but we'd expect our officials to actually be a bit more peripheral on what they actually see.
Okay, so I didn't want to talk about Rasta because it upset me so much, but okay, previews quickly. Right, we're just going to bash these out quickly. Teams, scores, let's go.
Starting tomorrow, 2nd of March, we start off with another New Zealand derby. Blues and Chiefs, who are the losers from last week's conferences in New Zealand. This is going to be a very entertaining game. It's going to be very fast paced. We think it's going to be end to end. However, we think the Chiefs are going to be the stronger team on the day, considering that they are a very, very, very dominant pack of forwards. If they move away from that McKenzie trial at fly half and they have him coming in through the back, I think they're going to cause more problems than the Blues can actually handle on the day. So Chiefs for me, between 10 to 14 points.
I agree with you on that one. And then we move to Australia, an Australian derby, the Reds versus the Brumbies. Now, as we said earlier, very hard to judge the Reds playing the season, given that they were down to 13 men for most of the previous week, or 14 men actually, but it changed a lot, lots of cards. And then the Brumbies didn't really show up against the Sunwolves in the first half, only really got it into gear in the second half. But given that they rallied together, I'm going to give this to the Brumbies by 7 points.
Yeah, Brumbies I think are going to be a stronger team on the day. I don't think that the Reds have quite gotten into their game plan as of yet. The Brumbies definitely turning around a 22 point to 8 deficit to actually come out and winning it by 7 points against the Sunwolves. I think that the Brumbies are going to come to the fore and actually win this one by a minimum of 7 points.
And then we move to Singapore with the Sunwolves versus the Rebels. The Sunwolves really, I think they could really come up with this one and really contest for the win. But I think that the Rebels, they're a more cohesive unit. They've played together longer. I think I'm going to have to give it to the Rebels. I think this is going to be a close game, but the Rebels are probably my team to pick.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a great way to start Saturday morning. It is the first game of the Saturday games.
No, it's not. It's at 12:30 in the afternoon.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, so they've actually changed the time. So it's going to be an afternoon game, but Sunwolves versus Rebels, I do think it's going to be a contest if the Sunwolves show what they did against the Brumbies. Rebels, I'm pretty sure, will win it within 7, but I would like to see that the Sunwolves actually come to the game and actually put some of the Australian teams to the sword.
We move to Durban, with the Sharks versus the Waratahs. Waratahs are travelling, Sharks coming off a bye, well rested. They showed that they have the talent when they played the Lions. Waratahs also were up there, played a very physical game against the Stormers. So I have to say, recovery from the Stormers game, recovery from jet lag, it's the Sharks game all the way.
Yeah, the Shark tank is going to be black and white because I'm pretty sure that the Sharks are going to win this one. Shark scrum is going to be pretty dominant. I think they're going to be learning from the mistakes from the loss against the Lions. Beeson Tawera is a fantastic loosehead. I don't think they're going to give him too much problems. The back line for the Sharks also firing out really, really well. I mean, it was a close game in their loss against the Lions, so I'm pretty sure that they're going to give the Waratahs lots of problems. Robert Dupree is a fantastic general in the fly half position. I don't think that the Waratahs are going to scrape a win on this one on home soil, especially after the Stormers. We both agree that 10 to 14 points is basically where we think the Sharks will actually dominate the Waratahs. We did skip a game that's also early on Saturday morning, which is the Crusaders versus Stormers. Well, for us, we both agree that the Crusaders are going to win this one.
Not much to talk about here. Stormers really experimenting a bit with their fly half choice, and just based on their play last weekend, and let's be honest, the Crusaders' superior skills.
Yeah,
it's a no-brainer.
I mean, we are going to be backing a SB Maria at fullback, which I think has definitely bolstered the Stormers' backline defence. Unfortunately, the wingers Raymond Rule and Sibelo Sanatla, generally on the smaller side. Rule has definitely got a bit of an issue with his technique in tackling. I think the Crusaders are going to exploit those channels, especially under the high ball. Crusaders are going to scrape this one by 10 to 14.
Okay, so let's move on to Saturday evening. Bulls versus Lions. This is going to be, for me, one of the games of the weekend. You've got the Bulls playing their new expansive style of play. You've got the Lions, who are just coming back as if they never left the field last season. And both Gauteng teams, they're really only 45 minutes, an hour apart from each other. So I think this is going to be a true test of the South African Conference, and we can really see how it matches up. My personal feelings is that the Bulls are at home. They showed that they have the ability to really come from behind and grind out a win at the end of the game. Given their relative youth, that is very surprising for them at least. So I'm going to give it to the Bulls, 3 to 5 points. Yeah,
for me, I do agree that Bulls are playing at home, so they're definitely in the pot for the win. But for me as well, with the Lions already 2 from 2 in their first 2 matches. Yes, they fell asleep at the wheel in the first 10 minutes against the Jaguars, but if they play the way they have been playing, especially with their new flyer Janje, who's shown some really great individual skill, I think the Lions can turn it over if they win the key battles on the day. Unfortunately, their scrums have gone backwards last week. If they can get their scrum woes back up to the standard where they actually scrum the Sharks off the ball, it could be a really great and really close contest. Bulls, because they're at home, however, I do think the Lions can swing it and make it a really close game.
Last game of the weekend, Jaguares versus Hurricanes in Argentina. I don't think there's really much to discuss here. Jaguares' discipline is going to cost them again. We know that that's going to happen. And the Hurricanes are just superior in their skill and fitness. It's really going to go their way by minimum 10 points, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Hurricanes, even though they're coming off a very bruising game against the Bulls this past weekend, I think they've got the skill and the drive to actually see a win through here, even away from home. Jaguares, I'm pretty certain we are probably going to see a card or two. We've been right so far in the first 2 games, with players being sent off for professional fouls. But Jaguares are a really good scrummaging side. They do really well in broken play as well. They could give the Hurricanes some problems, but I'm pretty sure the Hurricanes will see them through by at least 10 points.
So, again, we apologize for getting this video out so late. Life happens. Next week we're going to do actually more in-depth videos. In fact, we might even do 2, an in-depth review, an in-depth preview, and maybe a little rugby-related segment. So please like the video and subscribe to the channel and comment something that you might like to see in that little segment piece.
Yeah, also again, post us your questions. We are gathering them together. We will do a Q&A video somewhere down the line, which will actually be really great and fantastic. Before we sign off, we want to say congratulations to Rassie Erasmus, who's been officially handed the head coach position for the Springboks for this year and seeing us through to the 2019 World Cup. So, thank you.